Ma'am, you need to step away from this building.
I work here.
Sure you do. Turn around, hands behind your back.
Officer, I'm asking you one more time to check who I am.
Save it for booking. You're trespassing on government property.
My name is Judge Vivian Clark. You just handcuffed a sitting judge on the steps of her own courthouse.
Judge Vivian Clark had just stepped out of her Mercedes E-Class. She was adjusting her charcoal gray suit jacket, smoothing the fabric after the drive. She grabbed her monogrammed briefcase from the passenger seat, locked her car with a beep. Before she could take 3 steps toward the courthouse entrance, she heard the sound of handcuffs. The metallic click that would change 2 lives forever. Officer Derek Mitchell, a 15-year veteran who saw a black woman in designer clothing and decided she didn't belong, had made his choice. He had no idea that courthouse security cameras were recording everything. He had no idea that the woman in handcuffs was a sitting judge. And he had no idea that this 2-minute interaction would cost him his career, his pension, his family, and everything he'd built over 15 years. What you just saw was the moment Derek Mitchell destroyed his life. Now we're going to show you exactly how it happened. How a parking lot confrontation became a $2.4 million settlement. How one officer's assumptions left him with absolutely nothing. If you believe actions have consequences, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this is the story of how Judge Vivian Clark's worst morning became Officer Derek Mitchell's final day in uniform. After locking her car, Vivian turned toward the employee entrance. The October morning was beautiful. Crisp autumn air, leaves falling, peaceful. She was thinking about her 9 a.m. trial. The Officer Williams excessive force case she was presiding over. The irony of what was about to happen wouldn't be lost on her later. She noticed her colleague, Attorney Sandra Mills, walking ahead. Vivian lifted her hand to wave. And that's when she heard it. "Excuse me, ma'am." The voice came from behind her. She turned to see Officer Derek Mitchell, 38 years old, white male, walking toward her with purpose. His hand already resting on his belt, near his weapon. His face set in suspicion. She'd never seen him before. Clearly new to courthouse security. "That your Mercedes?" His voice was cold, accusatory. Vivian kept her tone pleasant and professional. "Yes, it is." "Good morning, officer." Mitchell didn't return the greeting. Just stared at her car, then back at her. "Pretty expensive car for..." He paused. "What brings you to the courthouse this early?" That pause. That deliberate pause before he asked his question. The assumption already forming in his mind. Vivian felt it immediately. Her pleasant expression faded slightly. She knew exactly what that pause meant. "I work here. I'm a judge. I have a trial starting at 9. Mitchell looked her up and down, slowly, deliberately. His eyes lingered on her pearl earrings, her Hermes briefcase, her designer heels. His voice dripped with disbelief. "A judge? Well, let me see some ID." Vivian took a breath. She'd been a public defender for 8 years, a judge for 5. She knew her rights better than most attorneys. "Officer, what's your name?" Mitchell tapped his nameplate with one finger. "Mitchell. Now show me your ID." "Officer Mitchell, under the 4th Amendment, I'm not required to identify myself unless you have reasonable suspicion that I've committed, am committing, or am about to commit a crime. Do you have reasonable suspicion?" Mitchell's jaw clenched visibly. "Yeah, I do." "You're acting suspicious." Vivian kept her voice measured, calm. "Suspicious how, specifically?" "I parked my car legally in the employee lot. I'm walking to my workplace during business hours. I'm dressed professionally. What about any of that is suspicious?" "You don't look like you work here." The words landed like a slap. Vivian's voice dropped, became dangerously quiet. "And what does someone who works here look like, Officer Mitchell?" Mitchell realized he'd stepped in it. Tried to recover. "I mean, you're not wearing an ID badge. All courthouse employees are required to wear visible identification. I don't wear my badge outside the building for security reasons. It's standard practice for many judges. You'd know that if you'd worked courthouse security longer than a few weeks." Mitchell's face reddened. "How do you know how long I've worked here?" "Because I've been a judge in this courthouse for 5 years. I know every regular security officer by name. I've never seen you before this morning." Mitchell was getting aggressive now. "Then you'll have no problem showing me your courthouse ID to prove it." "I don't have a problem showing my ID. I have a problem with being required to show it without legal justification. Do you understand the difference?" Mitchell stepped closer, invading Vivian's personal space. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one final time. Show me your identification or leave the premises immediately." Vivian didn't step back. Held her ground. "I'm not leaving." This is my workplace. I have every legal right to be here. You're being uncooperative and hostile. I'm asserting my constitutional rights. That is neither uncooperative nor hostile. Those are two different things. Mitchell pulled out his radio, kept his eyes locked on Vivian. Unit 47 to dispatch, requesting backup at courthouse employee parking lot. Possible trespasser refusing to comply with lawful orders. Static crackled. Then, copy Unit 47, sending backup. This was escalating beyond reason. Vivian tried one more time. Officer Mitchell, I'm going to give you one opportunity to de-escalate this situation before it becomes something you can't come back from. Radio inside to the main security desk. Ask for Gerald Thompson. He's the senior bailiff and he's my bailiff. He'll confirm that I'm Judge Vivian Clark and that I work in this building. I'm not radioing anyone. You either show me ID right now or you're under arrest. Under arrest for what specific charge? Trespassing on government property and obstruction of a law enforcement officer performing his duties. I'm not trespassing. This is my workplace, and I'm not obstructing you. I'm standing in a parking lot asserting my Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure. Mitchell pulled out his handcuffs, held them up where she could see them. Last warning. Show me ID. Now. Vivian stood perfectly still, briefcase in hand. No. And I strongly suggest you think very carefully about what you're about to do. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Officer Mitchell, listen to me very carefully. You are about to make the single worst mistake of your entire career. The worst mistake of your life. I am giving you one final chance to stop this. Turn around. Now. Mitchell grabbed Vivian's arm. Not gently. Roughly, aggressively. Do not put your hands on me. Mitchell spun her around forcefully. Her briefcase fell from her hand. Hit the pavement with a heavy thud. Stop resisting arrest. I'm not resisting. I'm telling you that you are violating my constitutional rights. Click. The handcuffs snapped onto her wrists. Tight. Too tight. Deliberately tight. The metal bit into her skin. Vivian winced but refused to give him the satisfaction of crying out. Mitchell began the Miranda recitation. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Vivian cut him off sharply. I know my rights, officer. I've read Miranda warnings to defendants thousands of times from my bench in that courthouse right behind you. Mitchell was sarcastic. Sure you have, lady. Sure you have. He grabbed her arm again, started marching her toward his patrol car. Vivian saw Sandra Mills running back toward them. Sandra's coffee cup dropped from her hand, splashed across the pavement. Sandra screamed. Officer, what the hell are you doing? That's Judge Clark. Mitchell didn't even look at Sandra. Ma'am, step back immediately or you will be arrested for interfering with a police investigation. Sandra fumbled for her phone with shaking hands. Pulled it out, started recording. Her hands were trembling so badly the video shook. Sandra's voice was breaking. Judge Clark, I'm recording this. I'm calling Chief Judge Martinez right now. I'm calling everyone. Vivian remained remarkably calm despite everything. Sandra, listen to me. Call Gerald immediately. Tell him to preserve all security footage from this parking lot. Every camera angle, every second. And call my attorney Brandon Hayes. Tell him exactly what happened. Mitchell opened the back door of his patrol car. Get in. Watch your head. Vivian stopped. Turned to look directly at Mitchell. Eye to eye. Her voice was quiet but absolutely certain. Officer Derek Mitchell. My name is Judge Vivian Marie Clark. I am a sitting circuit court judge. I preside over criminal court in that building. In approximately 5 minutes, your supervisor is going to call you on that radio. He's going to tell you who I am. And when he does, your entire world is going to collapse. This is your absolute last opportunity to make a different choice. Release me now. Apologize. And maybe you keep your career. Save the performance. I've heard every con, every story, every lie. You criminals all sound the same. Get the car. He guided her into the back seat. Not gently. She had to duck awkwardly with her hands cuffed behind her. The door slammed. Vivian sat in the back of the patrol car, handcuffs biting into her wrists. Through the window she could see courthouse employees gathering. At least a dozen now. All with their phones out. Filming. Photographing. Witnessing. Some she recognized. Prosecutors, defense attorneys, clerks. All staring in absolute shock. Mitchell got in the driver's seat. Picked up his radio, sounding satisfied, justified. Unit 47 to dispatch, I have one female subject in custody. Charges are criminal trespassing and obstruction. Subject is a black female, approximately 40 years old. En route to county jail for booking and processing. Copy that, Unit 47. Backup is arriving at your location now. Negative, dispatch. Situation is under control. Subject is secured. Proceeding to county jail. You put the car in drive. Started pulling out of the parking lot. In the rearview mirror, Vivian sat perfectly still. Her face was calm, but her eyes were calculating, focused, sharp. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't crying. She was planning. Planning the federal lawsuit that would destroy this man's entire life. If you're finding this story as shocking as I am, make sure you're subscribed because what happens next is going to blow your mind. The consequences for Officer Mitchell are absolutely devastating. Mitchell was driving toward county jail, feeling completely, totally justified. In his mind, he just removed a problem from courthouse property. Some criminal's girlfriend or mistress trying to cause trouble. Probably scouting for a defendant, planning witness intimidation. He'd seen it before. Or so he thought. His radio crackled with heavy static. Then, Unit 47, this is Lieutenant Shaw. Respond. Immediately. The tone stopped Mitchell cold. He'd never heard Shaw sound like this. That urgent, that angry. Mitchell picked up the radio. Unit 47, go ahead, Lieutenant. Shaw's voice came through like a gunshot. Mitchell, tell me right now. Did you or did you not just arrest Judge Vivian Clark? The world stopped. Mitchell's hands tightened on the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. His mouth went completely dry. Sir, The subject refused to identify herself. Multiple times. She was trespassing on courthouse property. She was confrontational, hostile, refused direct lawful orders. Shaw was screaming now. That's Judge Vivian Clark. She's a circuit court judge. She's presided over criminal court for 5 years. That courthouse is her workplace, Mitchell. Mitchell glanced in the rearview mirror. Vivian was watching him. Her expression hadn't changed. Calm. Too calm. Like she knew exactly how this would go. Mitchell was desperate. Sir, she never showed me any identification. She refused every single request. She was being extremely uncooperative and confrontational. Because she doesn't have to show you ID. She was walking to work. She told you she was a judge. She told you her name. She gave you every opportunity to verify and you arrested her anyway. Do you have any concept of what you've just done? Mitchell felt bile rising in his throat. His voice was barely a whisper. Sir, I was following standard protocol for suspicious individuals on government property. Shaw's voice came through like hammer blows. A black woman, in a business suit, with a briefcase, walking to her job, is not a suspicious individual. You profiled her, Mitchell. You saw a black woman with an expensive car and you decided she must be a criminal. And now you've arrested a sitting judge. Silence. Just Mitchell's heartbeat pounding in his ears. Turn around right now. Bring Judge Clark back to the courthouse immediately. Do not book her. Do not process her. Do not enter this arrest into any system. And when you get back here, you hand me your badge and weapon. Do you understand me? Mitchell was broken. Yes, sir. He made a U-turn. Tires screeched. The silence in the car was suffocating, oppressive. After a full minute, Vivian spoke from the back seat. Her voice was quiet, measured. I told you. I told you exactly what was going to happen. I gave you multiple opportunities to verify. You chose not to listen. Mitchell said nothing. What could he say? His career had just ended. And he knew it. Mitchell pulled back into the courthouse parking lot. What was a dozen employees was now 50. Lieutenant Shaw was standing front and center. Next to him, Chief Judge Carolyn Martinez. Courthouse Security Chief Robert Hayes. Captain of the Police Department. An Internal Affairs detective. And dozens of courthouse staff. Every single one had their phone out. Recording. Documenting. Creating a permanent record. Mitchell's hands shook as he opened the back door. Unlocked Vivian's handcuffs. She stepped out with dignity. Immediately rubbed her wrists. Deep red marks had formed where the metal bit into her skin. In some places the skin was broken. Small beads of blood visible. Chief Judge Martinez rushed forward. Vivian. Oh my God, are you hurt? Are you okay? Vivian's voice was steady. Physically, I'll be fine, Carolyn. Emotionally? Ask me in a week. Lieutenant Shaw stepped directly in front of Mitchell. Positioned himself inches from Mitchell's face. Badge. Weapon. Right now. Immediately, Mitchell's voice was cracking. "Lieutenant, please, I made a mistake, an honest mistake. I didn't know who she was." "You arrested a sitting judge. You handcuffed Judge Vivian Clark outside her own courthouse because you decided she didn't look like she belonged here. There is no coming back from this. But, weapon. Now." Mitchell's hands were shaking so badly he could barely unclip his badge. 15 years on the force. 15 years of service. Condensed into a small piece of metal and a service weapon. He handed over his badge first. Then his gun. The weight of the gun felt enormous in his hand. Like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "You're on administrative leave effective immediately. Internal Affairs will contact you within 24 hours. Do not speak to any media. Do not speak to other officers about this incident. Do not leave the state. If you violate any of these orders, you will be arrested. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." Mitchell turned to Vivian. Desperate, pleading. "Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I swear I didn't know. I made a terrible, terrible mistake and I just..." Vivian's voice cut through like a knife. Cold, sharp, final. "You didn't know because you chose not to know. I told you I was a judge. I gave you my full name. I told you to radio my bailiff for verification. You had multiple opportunities, multiple chances, to confirm my identity before putting me in handcuffs. You chose not to take any of them. And do you know why, Officer Mitchell?" Mitchell couldn't look at her. Stared at the ground. "Because you looked at me, a black woman in designer clothes driving an expensive car, and your brain couldn't process it. You couldn't imagine that I earned that car, that I belonged in this building. So you decided I must be lying. A criminal's girlfriend. Someone's mistress. A thief with stolen property. Anything at all except what I actually am. And that assumption just cost you everything you've built over 15 years. Mitchell's voice was breaking. "I have a wife. I have 2 kids. I have a mortgage, car payments, my daughter's college fund. Please, Your Honor, please. I have a daughter too, Officer Mitchell. She's 16 years old. She called me 20 minutes ago, crying because she saw a video on TikTok of her mother being arrested. She asked me why the police handcuffed me on my way to work. What do you think I told her?" Mitchell had no answer. Tears were streaming down his face now. "I told her the truth. I told her that some people will look at us and only see our skin color. That no matter what degrees we earn, what positions we hold, what we achieve in life, there will always be someone who assumes we don't belong. That we have to carry twice the credentials to receive half the benefit of the doubt." She picked up her briefcase from where it fell. Checked her phone screen, cracked now from the fall. "Enjoy the rest of your day, Officer Mitchell. It's the last day you'll ever wear that uniform. And I promise you before this is over, you'll have plenty of time to reflect on the choices you made this morning." She turned and walked toward the courthouse entrance. Employees parted for her like the Red Sea. Some were crying. Some were angry. All were witnessing history. Mitchell stood there, badgeless, weaponless, destroyed. He got in his personal car. Drove away. He didn't know it yet, but his entire life was about to collapse. Sandra's video uploaded to Twitter at 8:47 a.m. The caption, "Hamilton County officer just arrested Judge Clark outside the courthouse." She told him who she was. He didn't believe her. #Judge Clark. The video was crystal clear. Perfect audio. Shows everything. The handcuffs, Mitchell's aggression, Vivian's calm assertion of her identity. Sandra screaming, "That's Judge Clark." Vivian's voice, "Officer Mitchell, you are making the worst mistake of your life." 8:50 a.m., 1,000 views. 9:15 a.m., 50,000 views. 10 a.m., 500,000 views. 11:30 a.m., 3 million views. By 1 p.m., 15 million views. #Judge Clark was trending #1 in the United States. #3 worldwide. News outlets scrambled. CNN broke into regular programming at 11:45 a.m. The Chiron read, "Black judge arrested outside her own courthouse." MSNBC brought on 3 civil rights attorneys. Attorney Michelle Washington appeared on screen. This is the textbook definition of racial profiling. Judge Clark told him who she was. She gave him her name. She offered multiple ways for him to verify her identity. He refused every single one and arrested her anyway. Why? Because he couldn't believe a black woman could be a judge. This is a slam-dunk civil rights lawsuit. Fox News tried to defend Mitchell initially. Officer was following protocol, had no way of knowing. They got immediately ratioed into oblivion on social media. Even conservative commentators abandoned the defense within hours. The video was too clear. The evidence too damning. Internet detectives mobilized. Within 90 minutes, they'd identified Officer Derek Mitchell. Within 2 hours, they'd found every social media account he had. Facebook, public. Instagram, public. LinkedIn, public. Twitter, public. Screenshots started spreading like wildfire. Mitchell's Facebook page had a Blue Lives Matter banner. Punisher skull logo as profile picture. Posts about thugs and criminals. Comments on Black Lives Matter articles. If they'd just comply with police, they wouldn't have problems. It's that simple. Post from June 2020. All these protesters crying about police brutality need to learn some respect for authority. Stop resisting and you won't get hurt. The irony was thermonuclear. Comments flooded every single one of Mitchell's social media accounts. Thousands per minute. You're a disgrace to the badge. Racist cop finally got caught. How does it feel to arrest a judge, genius? Death threats started coming in. Hope you rot. You're going to pay for this. Mitchell's wife Jennifer was found on Facebook. Her page got swarmed. Your husband is a racist. Divorce him before he destroys you. How can you stay married to someone like that? She deactivated her Facebook at 2 p.m., deleted Instagram at 2:30 p.m. By 6 p.m., Officer Derek Mitchell was the most hated man in America. If this story is making your blood boil like it's making mine boil, smash that subscribe button because the next part shows you exactly how Mitchell's entire world crumbles to dust. You won't believe what happens to him. Internal Affairs pulled Mitchell's complete personnel file. What they found was devastating. 2 prior complaints for racial profiling. Filed by citizens. Both dismissed by supervisors with minimal investigation. Complaint number 1, March 2019. Black City Councilman Marcus Williams stopped while jogging. Mitchell demanded ID, questioned him for 20 minutes. What are you doing in this neighborhood? Williams responded, I live here. I'm on the city council. Mitchell refused to believe him, ran his ID anyway. Williams filed a formal complaint. Investigation outcome, officer acted within policy guidelines. No discipline. Complaint number 2, September 2021. Dr. Angela Chin, Black University professor, questioned in the faculty parking lot. Mitchell approached her BMW. Is this your vehicle? Dr. Chin responded, yes, I'm a professor here. Mitchell asked, can you prove that? Dr. Chin showed her faculty ID. Mitchell still demanded driver's license and registration. Still ran her plates. Dr. Chin filed a complaint. Investigation outcome, officer was conducting routine security check. Mitchell received verbal counseling only. No written record, no discipline. Now both complaints became exhibits A and B in a pattern of discrimination. The Department of Justice opened a federal investigation. A pattern and practice investigation into Hamilton County Police. Looking at whether Mitchell's behavior represented systemic problems. The police union released a statement at 3 p.m. Officer Mitchell was following standard security protocols. He had no prior knowledge of Judge Clark's identity or position. We support our officer and believe he acted appropriately given the information available to him. The statement got absolutely destroyed on social media. A quote tweet with 300,000 likes. She told him she was a judge. She gave him her name. She offered to let him verify. He arrested her anyway. What information was he missing? Legal experts lined up on every news channel. Harvard law professor David Chin appeared on CNN. The union statement is legally indefensible. Judge Clark told Officer Mitchell who she was. She provided her full name. She offered multiple ways to verify her identity. He had every piece of information he needed. He chose not to believe her. That's not a protocol issue. That's a bias issue. 2 weeks after the arrest, Vivian hired attorney Brandon Hayes. 52 years old, legendary civil rights lawyer. He'd won over $200 million in settlements against police departments. Never lost a case involving racial profiling. He filed in federal court. Clark versus Mitchell, City of Hamilton, Hamilton County Police Department. Charges: unlawful detention, Fourth Amendment violation, false arrest, battery, physical contact without consent, racial profiling, violation of judicial immunity, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Damages sought: $5 million compensatory, $20 million punitive. The lawsuit was 47 pages long. Included screenshots of Mitchell's social media, transcripts of his previous complaints, security camera footage from the courthouse, 17 different angles, Sandra's cell phone video, Testimony from 23 courthouse employees who witnessed the arrest. Medical documentation of Vivian's wrist injuries took 2 weeks to heal. Psychological evaluation showing PTSD symptoms. City attorneys read the lawsuit. Held an emergency meeting. Their assessment: this is unwinnable. We need to settle. But the police union pushed back. We don't settle. It sets a bad precedent. The city tried to fight for 2 months. Discovery was absolutely brutal. Mitchell's deposition was a disaster. Brandon Hayes asked, "Officer Mitchell, when you first saw Judge Clark, what made you think she was trespassing?" Mitchell responded, "She was in an area restricted to employees." Brandon pressed, "She was an employee. She told you that. What made you not believe her?" "She didn't have visible identification. Neither did the 3 white male employees who entered before her." "Did you stop them?" I don't recall. Security logs show 4 employees entered between 7:10 and 7:18 a.m. 3 white males, 1 black female. You only stopped the black female. Why? Mitchell's attorney objected. Objection relevance. Brandon continued, "I'm establishing a pattern, Your Honor. Officer Mitchell, in your 3 weeks working courthouse security, how many white employees did you stop and demand identification from?" "I don't have an exact number." "I do. 0. You stopped 0 white employees. But you stopped Judge Clark within 30 seconds. Why?" Silence. The deposition was 5 hours of this. Mitchell contradicted himself 17 times. Got caught in multiple lies. Admitted he didn't follow protocol for verifying identity. Admitted he didn't radio inside. Admitted Judge Clark told him she was a judge. By the end, Mitchell's attorney knew it was over. 3 months after the incident, the city made a settlement offer. $2.4 million. Mitchell terminated permanently, loses all pension benefits. The department implements mandatory body cameras for all officers. Revised detention policies requiring supervisor approval. Quarterly bias training. Civilian Oversight Board for complaints. Vivian accepted. Not for the money. For the policy changes. For the message it sends. 6 months after the arrest, Derek Mitchell, 39 years old, sat in a 1-bedroom apartment. The apartment was in a rough part of town. Nothing like the 4-bedroom house he used to own. The house. Foreclosed 3 months ago. Couldn't make the mortgage without his salary. His wife Jennifer filed for divorce 8 weeks after the incident. Her attorney cited irreparable harm to family reputation and financial stability. She got full custody of their 2 children, Emma, 12 years old, and Dylan, 9 years old. Mitchell got supervised visitation every other weekend, when the kids agreed to come, which was rare. Emma refused to see him most weekends. "I can't face my friends, Dad. They all know what you did." Dylan came sometimes but barely spoke. Sat on his phone the whole time. Called Jennifer's new boyfriend Dad, now. That hurt worse than anything. Mitchell's job situation was catastrophic. Blacklisted from all law enforcement in the state. Tried to get hired as private security. Rejected. "We can't hire someone with your background." Tried armed security at a mall. Recognized on day 2. Video of Judge Clark's arrest played on someone's phone. "Holy shit, that's you? You're that cop." Fired immediately. Tried warehouse work at Amazon. Lasted 3 days. Someone Googled his name, found the articles. Manager called him into the office. "We're going to have to let you go. You're a liability." Tried working at a car wash, same thing. Construction labor, same thing. Food delivery, deactivated after a customer recognized him. His name was poison. Google, Derek Mitchell, Hamilton County, and 847,000 results appeared. Every single one about Judge Clark. The arrest video had 47 million views now. His face was immortalized in viral infamy. Credit cards maxed out paying lawyers to fight the termination. Lost anyway. The union dropped him after the settlement. "We can't defend the indefensible." Filed for bankruptcy 4 months ago. Car repossessed. Drove a 1997 Honda Civic, now barely running. His pension. Gone. 15 years of contributions, forfeited. Would have retired at 55 with full benefits. Now he'd work until he died. If he could find work. His parents wouldn't speak to him. His brother blocked his number. His few friends from the force stopped returning calls. Nobody wanted to be associated with him. He attended court-mandated therapy every week. Part of the settlement agreement. The therapist asked, "Derek, we've been meeting for 5 months now. What have you learned from this experience?" Mitchell's voice was hollow. That I destroyed my entire life in 2 minutes. Why did you arrest Judge Clark? Mitchell had been avoiding this question for months. Finally, he answered honestly. Because I couldn't believe her. I couldn't believe a black woman could be a judge. I saw her car, her clothes, her jewelry, and my brain it couldn't process it. So I decided she must be lying. She must be someone's girlfriend or mistress or a criminal with stolen property. Anything except what she actually was. Why couldn't you believe her? Mitchell was breaking down. Because I'm a racist. I didn't think I was. I would have told you I wasn't. But I am. I saw her skin color and I made every assumption. And now I have nothing. He was crying now. Full body sobs. I lost my job. My pension. My house. My wife. My kids won't talk to me. I can't get hired anywhere. I can't pay my bills. I'm going to die alone and broke because I couldn't see past someone's skin color for 2 fucking minutes. What would you say to Judge Clark if you could? What can I say? Sorry I handcuffed you because you're black. Sorry doesn't fix anything. It doesn't give me my life back. It doesn't undo what I did to her. There's nothing to say. He left therapy. Went back to his apartment. Opened his laptop. Refreshed job search sites. Another rejection email. He closed the laptop. Sat in silence. Derek Mitchell sat in his studio apartment. Sitting on a second-hand couch. An eviction notice on the coffee table, 3 months behind on rent. Eating ramen noodles for the 3rd day in a row. Staring at his phone. A text from Jennifer, the kids don't want to see you this weekend. Please stop asking. Meanwhile, Judge Vivian Clark sat in her chambers. Wearing her judicial robe. Presiding over a criminal case. Commanding the courtroom with authority and dignity. During a recess, her bailiff Gerald brought her coffee. Judge, how are you doing? I'm okay, Gerald. Some days are harder than others. You're the strongest person I know. Vivian smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. People ask me if I feel sorry for Derek Mitchell. They ask if justice was served or if the punishment was too harsh. They say he lost everything. His career. His family. His future. And they ask, was it worth it? Was destroying one man's life worth $2.4 million? Here's what I tell them. I was walking to work. That's all I was doing. Walking to my job where I've served for 5 years. Where I've presided over hundreds of cases. Where I've sent people to prison and set others free. Where I've dedicated my career to justice. And Derek Mitchell saw me and decided I was a criminal. Not because of anything I did. Not because of any evidence. But because I'm a black woman with an expensive car. He had chances. Multiple chances. I told him I was a judge. I gave him my full name. I offered to let him verify with my bailiff. Each time he refused. Why? Because he couldn't imagine that someone who looks like me could sit on a judge's bench. The $2.4 million didn't destroy Derek Mitchell's life. His choice did. His assumptions did. His inability to see me as human did. Yes, he lost his job. His pension. His family. Everything he spent 15 years building. But I lost something too. I lost the sense of safety I used to feel. I lost the belief that my credentials, my position, my humanity would protect me. Because Derek Mitchell taught me a lesson I already knew but hoped wasn't true. It doesn't matter if you're a judge. It doesn't matter if you went to Harvard. It doesn't matter what you've achieved. If you're black in America, you're always one assumption away from handcuffs. Your ownership of everything, your car, your home, your job, your dignity is always conditional. Always subject to challenge. Always requiring proof. Derek Mitchell lost his career. But somewhere right now, another officer is making the same assumptions. Looking at someone and deciding they don't belong. The settlement sent a message. The policy changes help. The body cameras matter. But they don't fix the fundamental problem. The assumption that we're guilty until proven innocent. That we're criminals until proven otherwise. So no, I don't feel sorry for Derek Mitchell. He made a choice. And choices have consequences. Maybe the next officer will remember his name before making the same mistake. Judge Vivian Clark continues to serve on the bench. She donated $1.2 million of her settlement to organizations fighting racial profiling and providing legal defense for wrongfully arrested individuals. Derek Mitchell remains unemployed 8 months after his termination. He has had no contact with his children in 4 months. His bankruptcy was finalized in December 2023. The Hamilton County Police Department has reduced excessive force complaints by 31% and wrongful arrest incidents by 43% since implementing new policies. Officer Mitchell's case is now used in police academies across the country as a training example of implicit bias and the consequences of racial profiling. As of January 2024, Mitchell has applied to 247 jobs. He has received 0 offers. Actions have consequences. If you made it to the end of this story, hit that subscribe button because we're covering more stories like this every single week. Stories that matter. Stories that expose injustice. Stories that demand accountability.